Iron Man, Marvel's flagship MCU hero, ultimately saved the universe in Avengers Endgame. But in this week's Cinema Science, we explore how his journey should have ended very early. He's a true powerhouse, eventually battling cyborgs, robots, Thor, Hulk, and even Thanos, and somehow survived. Yet, he shouldn't have survived his first movie due to the extreme G-forces he experiences. G-force isn't just about gravity, it's the feeling of acceleration, which includes changes in both speed and direction. It's what we perceive as weight, or the sensation of being pulled. G-force affects everything, including our bodies in motion, spinning machines, and even rocks on impact, and can cause a variety of damage, especially with sudden changes in inertia. This relates to Newton's first law of motion, the law of inertia. An object at rest stays at rest, and an object in motion stays in motion with the same speed and direction unless acted upon by an unbalanced force. Objects tend to keep doing what they're doing until something changes their motion. The problem is, Iron Man frequently starts and stops abruptly and often changes direction rapidly. Like Hawkeye, who's experiencing hearing loss from explosions, Iron Man should have accumulated internal trauma throughout his body. We experience one G-force sitting still, due to gravity. We also feel it accelerating or decelerating in a car. Note that it's the change in speed or direction that's important. When an elevator lurches up, you experience about 1.05 Gs. So if you weigh 150 pounds, you momentarily weigh 157 pounds, but once the elevator is cruising at a steady speed, you are back to 1 G and 150 pounds. When a car accelerates in 6 seconds from 0 to 60 miles per hour, 96.5 kilometers per hour, you feel about 0.5 Gs. But once you start cruising at 60, you have 0 backward Gs, pressing you backwards into your seat. You feel that acceleration ease off all the way to nothing and only feel G-forces again on turns and changes in speed. It's important to understand that, in addition to gravity, G-force is the sensation of acceleration. When an object moves in a circular path or curves in any way, it experiences a centripetal force that constantly changes its direction, and this change in direction is what causes the sensation of G-force. Think of a car going around a tight curve. You feel pushed to the side because your body wants to keep moving straight, but the car's change in direction creates that G-force sensation. Hitting a wall at 96.5 kilometers per hour, 60 miles per hour, produces 2.74 Gs. It hurts, but is survivable if you're not further injured by your car's crumpling around you. But a sudden deceleration from going forward to going 30 miles per hour in the other direction due to a collision with a Mack truck subjects you to approximately 41 Gs. This is nothing to sneeze at. In fact, you may never sneeze again. The human body can tolerate up to 50 Gs for short periods, but other injuries often accompany such extreme force. Iron Man endures much higher G-forces, flying at thousands of kilometers per hour, and stopping and changing direction too quickly for human physiology. When he told Hawkeye to clench up, it was for good reason. Inertia wants your body and fluids to remain where they were before the sudden acceleration or change in direction. It also wants your body to keep moving when Iron Man makes those abrupt superhero landings. In the comics, he has inertial dampeners. In sci-fi, especially Star Trek, inertial dampeners prevent the crew and starship from being crushed by sudden starts and stops. In Star Wars, ships exiting hyperspace come to impossibly abrupt stops. In the real world, they would cruise on forever at light speed until something affects their speed. Putting on the brakes, just like in a car, hits the ship and the crew with G-force. It would take 354 days to decelerate at 1 G. Stopping faster increases the Gs. Similarly, it would take 354 days to accelerate to that speed. Humans can handle up to 1.5 to 2 Gs for extended periods without significant health risks. Higher G-forces can cause severe injury or death. In the MCU, no inertial dampener is mentioned. Early in his career, Iron Man casually flew from New York to Afghanistan. Instead of flying east, he would save 200 miles flying north. The shortest route is approximately 11,265 kilometers, 7,000 miles over the Arctic. Even normally, this is a 14-hour flight. Yet, he made the trip there and back in a single day. If the trip took 1 hour, he'd be flying at Mach 9.12. Not as fast as a rocket, but faster than any jet plane. When a tank shot him down, the movie should have ended. Tank shells travel at over 6,120 kilometers per hour, 3,800 miles per hour. He was flying, likely not at bicycle or car speed, and was hit by a supersonic shell. A 105mm howitzer shell is approximately 35 pounds, 16 kilograms. A 120mm tank shell is approximately 50 pounds, 23 kilograms. A 155mm howitzer shell is approximately 100 pounds, 45 kilograms. These shells are made of dense metals, tungsten, depleted uranium, or steel, to pack a lot of kinetic energy in a small space, meant to penetrate, well, anything. The shell would have hit Iron Man with immense force. This could cause lethal concussive and catastrophic damage, even if the shell didn't explode. Granted, it's difficult to imagine the tank making that shot at a flying man-sized target, but let's assume he survived the Mach 3 shell impact and its explosive payload. If he was only 61 meters up, 200 feet, the fall would subject him to 34 Gs. Survival is possible, but requires a long hospital stay and is likely fatal without immediate medical attention. The armor could prevent limbs from bending and breaking from torque, but bones could still shatter, and organs, especially the brain, would be damaged. When the brain bounces around inside the skull due to a sudden impact, it causes coup-contre-coup injury. This type of injury occurs when the brain strikes the inner side of the skull at the point of impact, coup, and then rebounds to hit the opposite side, contre-coup. This can lead to bruising, bleeding, and damage to brain tissue. In football, it shows up as chronic traumatic encephalopathy, CTE. In boxing, it's called being punch drunk. CTE is a degenerative brain disease found in athletes, military veterans, and others with a history of repetitive brain trauma. Iron Man took a much harder hit, and he wasn't wearing proper padding for a fall like that. For a fall, he would have been safer in a car. Iron Man looks intact here, but inside, he's dead or dying. Let's say he survives the fall. He encounters a Terminator T-800. The Terminator would be a serious threat to a normal human. A Terminator possesses the strength of about 10 to 20 humans. While no match for Iron Man, who could easily dispatch it with his superior strength and energy weapons. Now, let's imagine Optimus Prime fired that tank shell. Optimus is stronger and heavier than Terminators, but still far less powerful than Iron Man. Iron Man has superior strength, weapons, and mobility. However, Optimus Prime, according to Michael Bay, weighs around 4,082 kilograms, 9,000 pounds, and is 9.1 meters tall, 30 feet. Optimus casually defeats Decepticons stronger than Terminators with ease. While Iron Man might be stronger overall, he can't be cocky about walking into a blow from Optimus. Optimus's punches would be, I hate to say it, like being hit by a Mack truck. When calculating G-force, the speed of the blow is critical. Iron Man's armor doesn't stop his brain from bouncing around in his skull. The fact that Optimus's blows will without fail easily and violently move Iron Man is critical. Remember that strength isn't the sole determinant of impact force. Speed plays a crucial role. For a truly devastating impact, you need both power and speed. Iron Man and the Terminator, for example, would likely waste blows on each other in a punching match because they aren't speedsters, and their blows don't deliver enough kinetic energy to damage each other's armor. No matter the strength, a strong man doesn't strike harder unless he strikes faster. They'd need to use other tactics, weapons, and abilities to overcome each other. Mind you, Iron Man has the strength to simply rip the Terminator apart, but should avoid blows to the head while doing it. Optimus isn't a speedster, and he may appear to lumber around, almost in slow motion, but because of scale, the end of his fist arrives much faster, with much more destructive force than Iron Man. As he would with the Terminator, Iron Man wins a wrestling match. He would rip Optimus apart, but any punch from Iron Man would seem like a love tap in the real world. That is, unless Iron Man can drastically speed up his punch without shattering his fist inside his suit. Godzilla 98 faced criticism for the monster's unbelievable speed. People found it unlikely that he could run 200 miles per hour, but it's a matter of scale. While in the real world, he is much too heavy for his bones and muscles to handle the stress, he would indeed be the fastest land animal. You can't outrun Godzilla, even the old Godzilla, even in a car. Each step spans hundreds of feet. The same applies to Optimus. You can't outrun him, and in a melee, he would utterly confuse you. Optimus might seem bulky, but his swipe can come out of nowhere, covering large distances in what seems like an instant to your forward-facing tunnel vision eyes. You're not designed to combat a biped who can seem a safe distance away, but can reach you in a fraction of a second. Fighting a man using nunchucks poses this problem. Your opponent is no faster, but your eyes can't follow the nunchucks as well, near and far, with a longer range than human arms. Add in Optimus's 15-foot sword of judgment, and it's like fighting a man with a whip. You can't keep track of the end of the whip and the man at the same time. You're getting hit, and you can't avoid it, even though it's a long, slow wind-up. Think of a moose or a horse. They might look slow and lumbering, but their kicks can seem lightning fast because you can't track them while you're within range. If a moose wants to kick you and you're in range, welcome to heaven. So, while Iron Man is stronger than Optimus, he still needs to avoid taking a direct hit. A blow from Optimus would seem to come at a superhuman speed that betrays what your eyes are telling you and would still carry immense force due to his sheer mass and leverage. He would never fail to move and bounce Iron Man's brain against his skull. In the animation, the pivot point is his opposite shoulder, about 15 feet away. Imagine being hit with a 15-foot-long stick that weighs hundreds of pounds and is moving at over 100 miles per hour. An instant ago, you weren't moving. Now, you are moving 100 miles per hour. Welcome to Newton's law of motion as a weapon and a shattered liver, brain, and spleen. A direct hit would likely knock Iron Man out of commission. A 1.8-meter tall, 6 feet person's backhand punch averages 24 kilometers per hour, 15 miles per hour. Trained MMA fighters can reach 51 kilometers per hour, 32 miles per hour. A baseball pitcher can move his hand at 90 miles per hour. 100 miles per hour for Optimus with his longer arm is conservative. Now, extend Optimus's arm another 10 feet with his 700-pound sword of judgment. I'm only guessing at the weight. It's never been specified. One swipe, and Tony is gone if it connects. It doesn't have to slice. With his longer arm, Optimus's backhand would deliver a tremendous amount of force. Iron Man would experience roughly 45.6 Gs. Even while wearing armor, this would result in significant internal injuries, including brain hemorrhaging, spinal fractures, organ damage, and multiple bone fractures. Even if Tony's armor were 10 times as thick and the sword doesn't put a scratch in it, if Iron Man moves like a golf ball, he's dead. Optimus's metal hand, about 0.9 meters, 3 feet, would pack a powerful punch. Imagine a wrecking ball on the end of a giant's arm. This is similar to David's sling extending the arm's leverage for a harder throw at Goliath. So, what should Iron Man do? Like Spider-Man, who avoids damage despite his strength, Iron Man needs to duck and dodge, fighting as if he's not invulnerable, because Tony Stark isn't. He's a human being. Dodging minimizes damage, allowing him to survive and ultimately save the universe, and then die. And by the way, someone could have used the gauntlet to heal Tony Stark. Using the Reality Stone by itself isn't as taxing as the snap. Doctor Strange could have used the Time Stone to reverse the injuries, but for that, Iron Man would require a different type of plot armor.